Hey there, welcome. My name is Tim, and I am so glad you're here. If you're tuning in because you want to feel a little lighter, think a little clearer, or reconnect with what makes you feel good, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. You're listening to The Happiness Hack with Tim Coulson, the podcast where we explore everything from the psychology of happiness to strength-based healing to the way your brain filters the world around you, sometimes without you even realizing it. This is a space where science meets the heart and where we look at how our mindset shapes our reality and how small, consistent shifts can lead to deep and meaningful change. So, what is the happiness hack all about? Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how two people can go through the exact same experience but walk away feeling completely different? One person might feel hopeful, the other defeated. One sees opportunity, and the other only obstacles. What's the difference? Well, it often comes down to mindset. And that's what this podcast is all about. The happiness hack isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about giving you the tools to create space, build perspective, and feel more grounded, even when life is messy. Because life is messy. Our minds are complicated, and growth, it doesn't look like an Instagram reel. We're going to talk about how your brain works in ways that actually make sense, break down key ideas, and then offer practical, real-life strategies that you can start using straight away. So, here's your first happiness hack. Start noticing what's already working. Now, why is this such a powerful place to begin? Because often society tells us we should be aiming for the top of something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a big shiny peak called self-actualization, and this is the space where we're chasing purpose, creativity, fulfillment. Basically, we're living as our best selves. Now, you've probably come across Maslow at some point in your life. Maybe it was in high school. Maybe you've seen that colourful pyramid diagram that floats around on the internet. But let me break it down in some real terms. Maslow's hierarchy is a way of explaining human motivation. Imagine a pyramid with different layers. Each layer represents a category of our human needs. You start at the bottom, and as those needs get met, you can add a layer and move up to the next level. At the very base of our pyramid are our basic physical needs: food, water, air, shelter. These are our survival essentials. If you're starving or exhausted, then your brain is going to put all of its energy into fixing that first. It won't care about your dream job or your 5-year plan. It's going to care about getting dinner and a warm bed. Once that's covered, your next layer up is safety. This is things like feeling secure in your home, your finances, your health. If you're constantly worried about whether you can pay the rent, if your job is stable, then your brain is going to stay focused on these things until it feels there's a safe enough time to move up to the third layer of love and belonging. This is about connection, relationships, friendships, community. You want to feel like you belong somewhere and that you matter to someone. Humans are wired for connection, and when that's missing, loneliness comes in. Above this comes our esteem needs. This is where confidence, self-worth, and recognition appear. It's wanting to feel respected, valued, capable by yourself and others. Finally, right at the very top is self-actualization, the space of growth and potential. It's where we want to create our expressions of ourselves, to find our purpose, to feel like we're living the life we're meant to be. Now, this sounds amazing, right? But here's the truth. If the layers underneath are shaky, if you're running on empty, feeling unsafe, disconnected from people around you, it's almost impossible for your brain to fully focus on those goals right at the top. If we don't have the foundations beneath us, like safety and connection, it's almost impossible for that brain to focus on those higher goals. Think about it. If you're hungry, tired, lonely, your brain isn't going to care about chasing self-actualization. It's going to devote its energy, often subconsciously, to finding and meeting that unmet need. Survival will always win. This is why the lower levels of Maslow's pyramid matter so much. The physiological needs, the safety, love and belonging, esteem. Each one builds upon the foundation of the other. If one of those blocks is shaky, it's kind of like playing Jenga. The more you stack on top without focusing on the base, the more unstable the whole tower becomes. Sure, you can add a few layers for a while, but eventually it all topples. So this is where the hack comes in. Instead of constantly pressuring ourselves to leap to the top of that pyramid, what if we started by simply noticing what's already solid? What needs are already being met? Where do we already feel safe, connected, valued? Now, modern society does make this tricky. Everywhere we look, we're being nudged, sometimes shouted at, to focus on the top of the pyramid. Instagram shows us people living their best lives. Ad tells us we need to get the new car, buy the bigger house, go for that promotion, build a side hustle. We're constantly being told, be more, achieve more, upgrade, level up, hustle harder. Here's the thing. You can get the promotion, but if you're running on no sleep, then the celebration won't feel that sweet. You can move into a bigger house, but if your self-esteem is shaky, those walls won't make you feel any safer. Let's make sure that the base of our tower is solid before we add another piece to the top. Because when we see those pieces more clearly, suddenly we're not building from a place of lack. We're building from a place of strength. That's what this podcast is all going to be about. It's a place for real talk and real tools. Because theory is great, but transformation happens in the day-to-day. It's in the pause between thoughts, in the stories you're telling yourself, in the habits you build, and the conversations that you choose to have. We're going to unpack all these big ideas, like how does your brain work? How does it decide what to notice? Why are our emotions messengers? How are the stories we're telling ourselves either limiting us or freeing us? We're going to dive into the science of positive psychology, the power of strength-based healing, and those small mindset shifts that can genuinely change how you experience your world. Each episode, I'll bring you one focused topic. We'll explore that science because understanding the why your mind works the way it does can often be that first step to changing it. Then we'll move into practical ways that we can apply those changes in your everyday life. No fluff, no overwhelm, just real grounded ideas you can start using immediately. Now, let's get one thing straight. Mindset isn't about thinking positive all the time. It's about understanding the way your brain interprets the world and learning how to guide that process more intentionally. Your brain is full of powerful patterns, many of which were created when you were young, stressed, overwhelmed, or simply trying to survive. Some of those patterns help you. Some of them hold you back. Here we're going to be learning how to work with the brain, not against it. How to retrain those patterns so they help you feel stronger, clearer, more connected to what really matters. You might be wondering, can mindset really change my life? And the answer is yes. Not in some magical, instant, just think positive way, but in a much deeper, more powerful way. Because here's the thing, your mindset is the lens through which you experience the world. When you start shifting that lens, even if it's just a little, you don't just feel better. You see more, you notice more, you become more of who you actually are beneath that stress, fear, and old patterns. You start to trust yourself again. You start to believe you can handle whatever comes. And that's not just feeling good, that's freedom. So, who's the podcast really for? Honestly, anyone who's tired of living on autopilot. Anyone who wants to feel better but doesn't want to fake it. Anyone who's ready to grow but needs tools, not perfection. If you've ever found yourself stuck in your own head, if you've ever said, I know what I should do, but I can't seem to do it. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, I just want to feel like me again, then this show is for you. I believe happiness isn't something we chase. It's something we build, moment by moment, choice by choice. And when we understand the ways that our mind works, when we get curious about our habits, our thoughts, our self-talk, that's when we start to uncover these little mental shortcuts, the hacks that help us show up more fully, more calmly, more present, more ourselves. We're not aiming for perfect. We're aiming for real, for grounded, for whole. So before we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you of your first happiness hack. Start noticing what's already working. That's it. Every day this week, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself, what's going well right now? It could be as simple as, I got out of bed. The first sip of coffee this morning was amazing. I didn't scroll through my phone for 20 minutes before starting work. Your brain is naturally wired to look for danger. It's a survival thing. But happiness comes from training it to look for what's safe, what's working, what's true. And that starts with noticing. Noticing is the first step to changing your story. Noticing what's good doesn't erase the hard stuff, but it helps your brain remember that good things are still happening, even when they're quiet. And when we train our brain to spot the good, we start to experience more of it. That's how happiness grows, bit by bit. Now, in next week's episode, we're going to be diving into something that's going to blow your minds a little. It's the reticular activating system. We're going to talk about how it filters your reality, why your beliefs shape what you see, and how to train your attention to work for you, not against you. Your reticular activating system decides what you notice, what you miss, and how your beliefs shape it. It's one of the most powerful parts of our mindset, and most people don't even know it exists. I promise you, it's going to change the way you see the world. This has been the Happiness Hack with Tim Coulson. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might need a little lift today. And if you're ready to make some real positive change, jump online and book a session with me. by going to my website, tim-coulson.com. Happiness isn't about having it all together. It's about building something better, one thought, one habit, one moment at a time. I am so glad we're doing this together. I'll see you next time, and until then, remember, the day is what you make it.